guys, today I'm going to be chatting about my favorite primers for oily skin, and if you yourself have oily skin, if you have the face of an oil production factory like myself, be sure to subscribe because I plan on doing a favorite powders for oily skin coming up shortly. As well, I will have some foundation oily skin recommendations listed down below. And if you've been watching my channel for any time, I don't feel that passionate about primers, honestly, and I get so many questions about primers, and I'm constantly saying I'm not that into them. I don't think they make that big of a difference, and I feel like they just are given too much credit, honestly. I think that people think that if they put on a mattifying primer, that will completely change the texture of their skin, or it will completely block the oil, and that may work for some people. But if you've watched any of my oily skin diaries over the past year and a half, I prime half of my face every time, and there has been rarely a time where I've come back at the end of the day and been like, whoa, look at the primed side of my face. Honestly, I don't know if that has ever happened. And you may be like, Samantha, then why did you do this video? But there are a few primers that I do like, that I do see a difference with, and I'll kind of talk my way through them and you'll be able to figure out if any of them may be good for you. But to me, the foundation is what makes the biggest difference, along with skincare, and then things like powder, setting spray, and primer can definitely be a good kind of aid in that cause. So let's go ahead and get started. The first one that I'm going to mention is from Smashbox, and this is their Photo Finish Iconic Primer Stick. I was just looking on the Sephora website, and the packaging actually looks a little bit different now. It says Mattify right on it, but when I got it, it did not. This retails for $32 Canadian. All the prices I'm listing will be in Canadian, but if you are American, then just take a few bucks off. What I like about this is that it comes in a stick format. Obviously, you're getting 9 grams of product in here, and the stick format makes it really travel friendly. The texture is still nice. It doesn't drag on the skin. It doesn't pull, and I traveled with this when I went away over Christmas, and I thought it was just so easy to kind of put all over my skin, pat into my skin, and then I really do feel like it helped with the, not necessarily longevity of my makeup wear, but just kind of helped things stay together, kept my oils at bay for a little bit longer. And I found, I don't know if it was just the California air or whatever it was, but my skin looked so good all day. But I was pairing it with all of my favorite products, which I will link to my travel makeup video down below, and that way you'll be able to kind of get a full look at everything that I used. And there are other primers I do quickly want to mention, like the Becca Evermatte, the Urban Decay D-Slick. I have so many primers. I probably own 50 or 60. I just need some time to test them out. So these are the ones that I'm mentioning today that I have seen a difference with. So my next primer is the only drugstore primer that I'm going to be mentioning today. And it's not that, I mean, I love drugstore products. You know that, you know me, but I just still need some time to test them out. I don't want to pull things out of my collection and mention them and recommend them to you and have you spend your money on them just because I want to include drugstore products in here. So stay tuned for more of an in-depth look at primers. I am going to continue testing them, but this one really surprised me. It is the Physicians Formula Spotlight Illuminating Primer with Age-Defying Actives. And if you had just put this in front of me and been like, you're gonna love this, I'd be like, no, I'm not. I don't like primers. It says illuminating, but this was one of those rare reviews, which at the end of the day of my Physicians Formula foundation review, which will be linked down below, I came back and I was like, oh, this actually looks good. And the odd thing is, when you put this on your face, it looks so greasy, it looks so illuminated, but for some reason, it doesn't make your skin any greasier. It kind of makes things look more smooth. It doesn't add too much illumination. So I don't know if somebody with dry skin would like this, but I was really, really surprised when I tried this. I also have a video using a full face of new Physicians Formula stuff, so I will link to that down below, but this one definitely surprised me. Oh, and this one, I can't find online how much product is in here. It seems like a decent amount. I looked on the Physicians Formula website, Ulta website, but it will retail for around $15 depending on where you pick it up. It is a drugstore item. And if you do have a more sensitive skin type, it is hypoallergenic, fragrance-free, paraben-free, gluten-free, dermatologist-approved, clinically tested, and cruelty-free. Moving way up the scale when it comes to price is the YSL Touche Claw Blur Primer. And similar to the Physicians Formula, this is another one that I was like, well, that's gonna be a nightmare. And this was probably the first primer that I ever used that I was like, oh, I see something's different. This enhanced my makeup in some way. So this retails for $57 Canadian. You're getting a full fluid ounce in here, which is the average size of a foundation. And in my opinion, you are using less than you would for a foundation. And I only use this on like special occasions now for when I want to look super flawless, or if I'm going to be wearing it for a really long time, if I have something important. And it does have those little gold flecks in there. You can kind of see it on your skin when you apply it, but not when you have the foundation on. I don't know that they necessarily do anything, and I know I've mentioned this before and people were like, the gold flecks hurt your skin, and if you're not comfortable with that, then absolutely pass on that. I haven't had any issues with this irritating my skin, and this is one of the primers that I found actually at the end of the day, I feel like my makeup looks fresher, it looks less worn in than it would if I hadn't have used this. So this is a very high-end item, definitely quite pricey, but at the same time, I feel like it actually does something. So if you had been eyeing it, if you do have the 60 bucks in your budget, or you want to pick it up during the VIB sale, got a gift card, whatever it may be, I actually really did like this, and yeah, I was really surprised to enjoy this one. Shortly around the same time that I tried the YSL primer, I tried this from Makeup Forever. They have a huge line of primers for neutralizing the skin, for hydrating. This one is the Mattifying. This is the Step 1 Skin Equalizer Mattifying Primer. This is the mini size, so you can get the mini, which is I think 14 milliliters, about half the size, 15 milliliters for $17, or you can get the bigger full fluid ounce for $37. And I really like this. I feel like it did a good job. You can kind of pat it into the skin. It has, the YSL one has more of like this liquidy but still gel-like texture. This one is leaning a little bit more silicone feeling, and I do feel like this did a good job prolonging the push through of oil on my face. And you can kind of use this in a more targeted manner. If you just get kind of oily through the center of your face, you can easily go in and just kind of target those areas. Makeup Forever has basically never disappointed me with a product that I've tried from them, and this was absolutely no different. So this is a primer that I've been using for probably the longest time next to the YSL, and I do really like it. I think that this is almost gone. I travel with this, and I think it does do a good job mattifying the skin. They also have primers for hydration and soothing, which can be nice because even if you have oily skin, as you've seen with some of these primers that I've mentioned, it's not necessarily always about mattifying. Sometimes you do need to hydrate your skin, or you do need to smooth things out, and that is going to help with the keeping your makeup fresh, keeping it on longer, even if it isn't necessarily something for oil control, but this is definitely a good oil controlling primer. From Inglot, which is a bit of an underrated brand in my opinion, and I will be doing a full face of Inglot, so stay tuned for that. This is their Mattifying Under Makeup Base, which is a primer. This is probably the thickest of the ones that I'm going to mention, and you don't want to put too much of this on your face. With a lot of mattifying primers, actually, you do kind of want to more pat them into the skin depending on the texture. This is a thick texture, but it doesn't feel heavy, and I do again feel like this is similar to the Makeup Forever in the sense that it helps to kind of slow down the oils coming through on my skin. You're getting a full fluid ounce in here, even though it does look quite small, and it retails for $32 Canadian. If you are Canadian, you can shop on the inglotcosmetics.ca website, or if you live in Toronto, there is a store at Dundas Square, which is awesome if you want to go in and touch and feel. But I do really like this, and I think that nobody really talks about Inglot. I don't know why, because I think they make a lot of great products, so stay tuned for my full face of Inglot if you want to hear more about them. But if you are looking to dabble in Inglot a little bit, this is a great option for people with oily skin. And I feel like I'm not saying a whole lot about these primers the same way I would be so passionate about like a foundation, or like there's just not a whole lot I can say, you know, like it's good, it does its job. I don't know why I just don't feel so passionate about primers, but anyways, here we are. Next, the Too Faced Primed and Peachy Cooling Matte Perfecting Primer from the Peaches and Cream collection. Holy, that is a lot. So this is infused with peach and sweet fig cream, and I like this. I really like the texture of this because it is super lightweight. The cooling feeling is really nice on the skin, and when I did my Peachy foundation, whatever that is called, I did see a difference at the end of the day when wearing this. I don't necessarily think it is the most mattifying of the bunch, but it definitely does have mattifying properties in there. It smooths the skin, it feels really good, and kind of lays down a nice base. You are getting a good amount of product in here as well. You're getting 1.35 fluid ounces in here, and this retails for $32 Canadian. So you're getting quite a bit of product in here. about 30% more than the other primers that have the full fluid ounce in there. So this does make it a really good deal, even though it is a higher end item. Another cooling primer that I want to mention is from Origins, and this is definitely the most lightweight of the primers that I'm mentioning. It's the Origins Original Skin Pore Perfecting Cooling Primer with Willow Herb. Another very long name. This is definitely a really interesting feeling. It is a foam. It does make, you only need a little bit because it kind of grows almost like a mousse that you would put in your hair, and it is really cooling. Far more cooling than the Too Faced. So if you're looking for a primer, if you're in like a hot location, this would be glorious to put on your face. You're getting 1.8 ounces in here, and that is almost double. Sorry, I'm just looking at how much it costs. It costs $32 Canadian. That's about double the size of the other primers that I was mentioning, but that being said, it does come out in that kind of foam. So I don't know how quickly you may run through this versus a lotion, but like I mentioned, this is so incredibly lightweight, feels so smooth on the skin. It doesn't feel drying, it doesn't make your face feel tight, but at the same time, it does lay down a really nice base for makeup. So this may be kind of the lightest and potentially the least mattifying. No, the Physicians Formula would be the least mattifying, but this is just, I don't know how to describe it. That's kind of why I didn't want to do this video, because I was like, I don't know how to describe my feelings for all of these primers. I can't give you super good explanations. So I'm just kind of on here being like, it's pretty good. I like it. So anyways, I do like this one. It is a really, really nice feeling primer, and I think it's a good one. You are getting quite a bit of product in here, but like I said, I don't totally know how long it's gonna last. And this whole line with the Willow Herb, I love the moisturizer. I love the cleansing jelly. So I've been really, really impressed with a lot of the Origins stuff that I've tried lately. So the last primer that I'm gonna mention is new-ish from Benefit. It is the Porefessional Pearl Primer, and right off the bat, I never really tried the Porefessional. I feel like the original one, I had mini samples and I always kind of held on to them and never did anything with it, so I can't totally compare the two, but what I can say is that I really do like this one. I don't think it has a lot of pearlness to it. It doesn't really do anything in that aspect for me, but what I do like this for is for the kind of smoothing of the skin. I do think it helps with pores. I don't have major issues with pores, but I do feel like it helps to smooth the skin. It mattifies it out a little bit, and again, lays down a really nice base for makeup. This does retail for $32 Canadian, and you are getting 0.75 milliliters in here, which is less than the average size of a primer. But with something like this isn't necessarily something I would spread all over my face. It'd be kind of more in targeted areas and kind of patting it onto my skin. Would I love a full fluid ounce in here? Absolutely, but that is something to keep in mind with a primer like this. It is quite a bit thicker than something like the Origins primer that I mentioned or the Physicians Formula. So this, I can't really get super jazzed up about the pearl part of this, but that doesn't really bother me. I don't need any pearliness to my skin. I'd rather add that in a highlighter, foundation, whatever it may be, but I do really like the smoothing portion of this primer. So there you have it. Those are my favorite primers for oily skin, and I will continue to test and do more of these videos in the future, but I really do want to put together a group of products that I actually can recommend, as opposed to products that I'm like, whatever, they're asking for a primer video, I'm just gonna throw a few primers in here. I really want them to be things that I can recommend. So I will continue to test and continue to chat primers. Stay tuned for my powders for oily skin video, and if you want more oily skin content, I will link to it down below. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat at SamanthaJaneYT, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!